So now the Republican tax cuts were enacted on the promise that it will create jobs and economic growth. Now, I pointed out in many other videos where that is actually not true. For example, I can give you a bunch of them. Carrier, AT&T, Comcast, and Sam's Club have all recently reported job cuts. Now, some of those companies I think all of those companies actually were trying to do this on the down low, like, hey, like, don't make much fanfare about it. It came out, oftentimes later on. Some of these companies, for example, Carrier, and I believe AT&T and Comcast, all laid people off before Christmas. But later they came out and said, no, well, we're giving bonuses to our workers. Oh, okay. Well, those bonuses happen to be very, very small amount of your total revenue and your total profit. So, yeah, 145 million here, 300 million there. Oh, by the way, we made $2 billion in this year or last year alone. Very, very small amount, right? So, and look, the hyped up bonuses, like I said, those are a sham. In fact, a recent poll cites the fact that only 2% of Americans received a raise or a bonus thanks to the effect of the tax cuts. And look, I'm not shaming the people or hating on the people who got these bonuses. God bless, right? If you got a bonus, wonderful. If you got a pay raise, wonderful. If you're part of that 2%, hats off to you, man. You guys are lucky. Somewhat. I mean, look, wage increases are far, far better than just a straight up bonus. But it also costs the company just a little bit more. And so that's why more companies don't go in that direction. But anyway, now these tax cuts and job losses get a little bit worse. Turns out the tax cut changes just literally killed jobs at Harley-Davidson. I know, right? It's hard to believe. But not only does it not create more jobs, cutting taxes for the rich and corporations, in this case, it's actually killed jobs. Now, let me explain. Now, 800 Harley-Davidson employees will now be losing their jobs when they close the Kansas City assembly plant. Now, USA Today explains that the Milwaukee-based company said its income fell 82% in its fiscal fourth quarter to around $8.3 million. Compared with a year earlier, earnings per share were 5 cents, down from 27 cents a year earlier. Revenue was $1.23 billion, up from $1.11 billion. So the earnings drop came in part because of a charge associated with President Trump's tax cut and a $29.4 million charge for a voluntary product recall. So that's fascinating, right? Now, here's more economic figures from Reuters. They said that net income and EPS in quarter advisedly impacted by a $53.1 million income tax charge related to enactment of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So, because of the changes to the tax code, they pay an additional $53 million. Wow. But wait a minute, I thought tax cuts were going to save jobs. I thought tax cuts were good for the corporations. Well, not only do they not create more jobs, they actually also don't do anything to boost pay or any sort of benefit. You know why? It's because, hey, it turns out that people who don't have money don't actually buy things. And what Harley-Davidson had been experiencing is a drop in sales. There are less people that are interested in buying motorcycles. Now, maybe that's partly because a lot of people don't have money or motorcycles are starting to fall out of favor. I'm not entirely sure which. Maybe it's a mixture of both. But nonetheless, these tax cuts don't help the average American person. Now, look, the benefit here for the Trump tax cuts to the average American family is about $1,100 a year. That's not enough to buy a motorcycle, certainly. And that might be enough for, hey, we're going to stay at a hotel for a couple of days and have a few dinners. We'll pocket a little bit of money, or we can pay off some of our massive bills. For example, student loan debt and things like that. It's nice. It's a nice little bonus. It's a nice little savings, but ultimately doesn't mean a whole lot. Now, that's the average savings for a middle-class family. Let me tell you how much the rich save. Wealthy Americans, the top 1%, got an average tax cut of $37,000. Now, that does not include what they save on the estate tax, or I should say what their heirs will save on the estate tax, or the tax decreases, the cuts on pass-through corporations, and other special giveaways that were included in this tax bill. So, look, it's obvious from the numbers. You just look at the numbers. Yes, the wealthy and the corporations are going to save far more, but that does not mean it's actually going to translate into jobs. Most of these companies, I'll go back to Carrier, for example, Carrier, AT&T, Walmart. Most of those companies did stock buybacks. They basically inflated their own shares, and that's it. Well, that helps executives, but it doesn't trickle down to you. Now, let me get back to the article here. Now, they said that closing the plant will cost Harley as much as $200 million through 2019, but will result then in annual cash savings of $65 million to $75 million after 2020. Now, here's the kicker, right? While they're closing the Kansas plant and laying off 800 people, they're at the same time building a factory in Thailand, which will assemble bikes using components shipped from the United States. This is the very thing that Donald Trump and Republicans promised would not happen if we enact these tax cuts. No, these jobs are not going to go overseas. Yes, we're going to have savings, and not only that, but you're going to get a raise and you're going to get a bonus, and we're going to have all these jobs that are actually going to magically pop up out of nowhere. Well, what's happened so far? None of it. None of it's happened. I thought you said it would trickle down. Well, hey, look, there's something trickling down on us, but it ain't wealth. Trump supporters, I hate to say it, but you've been conned. The Republicans and Donald Trump, they don't care about you. They never cared about you. All they care about is their own wealth and their donors. They work for the donors. And sadly, most of our politicians also work for the donors. The ones that pass these tax cuts. Look, they were never meant to help you. They were always meant to help the elite. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.